Over the past few decades, humanity has evolved into a species of phono sapiens. There are more SIM cards on the planet than people, and we have had more mobile phones than toothbrushes for almost 10 years. So mobile devices are everywhere. There's actually no such thing as a mobile strategy anymore, just strategy on a mobile planet. But there is still a world of opportunity for companies looking to improve their products, services, and customer experience for the demanding phono sapien consumer. So to start things off, I've got a quick question for you. So you feel free to comment in the chat window on the right-hand side there. How long have you had the same mobile phone number? So is it more than 1 year? Is it more than 5 years? Is it more than 10 years? Is it more than 20? I'd love to know how long you have had your mobile phone number for. More than 20. Okay, I'm going to type in here. More than 20 for me as well. Neil Downing, thank you, sir. More than 20. Right. Okay, we're going to leave that open. Please keep your answers coming in. Mark Page, nearly 20. Jason, more than 15. Thank you, sir. Brilliant. Right, so people have their mobile numbers for a long time, more than 25 years. Fergal, you get an award, you get like a meme with a trophy on it. That's absolutely superb. Wow. Well, you're obviously one of the pioneers of the technology there. So that's awesome. I hope there's photographs. So hold that thought about how long you've had your mobile phone number, because today we're going to be exploring the overlap between your phone number, everyone's phone number, and a verified digital identity. And you will find out how the sophisticated technology behind your mobile device can make it easier to securely identify, authenticate, and verify your customers, saving time and hassle. So by way of introduction, before we kick off with our amazing rockstar guests, my name is Oisin Lunny. I'm a journalist, a podcast and webinar host and event MC. And today at FinTECHTalents Virtual North America, we're going to be exploring the exciting potential of mobile identity and mobile intelligence with two of the leading experts in the field. So a huge warm welcome to our two very special guests, Dario Betti, who is the CEO of the Mobile Ecosystem Forum, and Mark Page, who is the Vice President of Sales at TMT Analysis. Welcome both to our wonderful virtual stage.
Hello. Hello. Thank you very much.
Hey, awesome. Oh, we have another answer. Laura, thank you. I've had mine ever since I got a phone 12 years ago. And Lisa has posted, please see our event poll. Oh, okay, folks, hop over to the event poll. It's just gone live. How long have you had your mobile device number for? Let's click in there. So on behalf of our partners, we'd like to know how long you've had the same cell phone or mobile for UK attendees number. Okay, wow, what we're showing there already is that 67% of people, almost 2/3, have had 70%, over 2/3 have had their mobile number between 11 and 20 years. That is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lisa. And Victor, nearly 20. Okay, good man. I like it. So we got some real mobile pioneers / veterans in the event today, which I'm not surprised at all. That's absolutely brilliant. So we're going to have a presentation from Dario and a presentation from Mark, and then there'll be time for some questions. This is an interactive session, so we really want to get you involved and open up the discussion later. You can send questions at any time into the chat window, and our legendary speakers can answer them after the presentations. I'll facilitate that as well. And we can also, I believe, invite people on stage. So if you're feeling very social, you can come onto the stage and chat with our brilliant speakers. And we will be sharing copies of the presentation with you all by email after the event. And our contact details will also be shared. So please do feel free to reach out with any questions for any of us, and feel free to connect on LinkedIn. So now we're all sitting comfortably. Dario is going to lead things off with a great presentation that explores the big questions around trust and identity, particularly in a time of a pandemic and with the global lens for the North American audience on. So it's been especially put together. It's very interesting. And Dario is going to be using data from his brilliant organization that I recommend you are members of immediately, the Mobile Ecosystem Forum and their partners. So take it away, Dario, Betti. Okay, and now we have a moment
Hello.
where we... Fantastic.
We do have a presentation there, PT, that I start from the very not Homo sapiens here is starting from the last slides instead of the first. Okay, I will do that throughout. I'm sure I will improve after this. Let me start again, and I'll see if I can just pick the right one now. And I think I might have something for you. Here we go. So thanks for the great introduction, Oisin. I don't know if I'm the rock star speaker that somebody was talking about, but I'll try to do the best with the data we have and MEF data. So thanks again for highlighting that. MEF is a not-for-profit global trade body. So we are an impartial advisor. We represent our members, which include fintech-wise banks such as Santander, Barclays, Lloyds, HSBC, or Capital One, but equally mobile operators and equally, well, TMT. Thanks for being a member. I'm in TMT Analysis, and the rest of the cross sections of a word, because the value in mobile is becoming a bit more difficult and more exciting at the same time to bring. There's so much that can be done, and there we help the word to look through the different sectors. But one question, you started with Phono Sapiens, and you know pretty much I need to follow on that. And 20 years ago, when MEF was founded, is a small at the time trade association, people were asking why mobile. You know, why would you ever use a mobile? Right now, people are asking why not mobile. So much is happening on your personal computational device, and it's personal, it's yours. So fantastic link for what you were saying. 7.7 billion humans in this earth. Of those, 5.7 are adults. So yes, there are more connections. There are more SIMs, 8 billion SIMs. More interestingly, the real number is that 4.6 billion users in a month that have got a mobile phone in their hands, and that's 80% of the population. Something which is astounding for its penetration. And obviously, landline connections are a fantastic source of information for businesses or geographic location, but nothing as close in terms of numbers, in terms of personal representations of your own life, as we've seen from how many people are attached to their mobile phone and their number. Not even email is close to that, and we should open a chat about email. That there's a lot to be said about the fantastic solutions that has been attacked by so many problems and fraudsters, etc. So if mobile is big, let me share some more data from MEF, which shows how mobile is rich in its ecosystem of multiple services. That's our survey from smartphone user, just to show you, to give you a highlight of what's happening out there. The number one application, content, and it should be. We've experienced film, music, and games on mobile and smartphones specifically for so long. But look through the numbers, and you got, these are the December 2019 results, so pre-COVID, and in comparison to December 2018, and it's the 22nd of December, both, I think. Well, financial fintech is actually the current driving force. So the second most used applications with shopping on the mobile phone is actually doing banking on your website or your mobile app. And that's had a massive growth. And similarly, paid something using mobile or digital wallet globally, fantastic growth as well, plus 5%. So all of these and more data, but just shows how much of a reality is not just mobile, but your digital life on mobile. So much of the things you end up doing. So that's all good news. Because we're talking to you in the US, and I'm currently based in MEF globally. There you go. Countries, we picked 10 of them just to give a bit of a view across these different services. USA is doing not bad. It's doing very, very good. But you see from the title there, one lesson is there is somebody which is doing better than Europe, which is doing better than North America, and that's China in mobile. China has really recently taken the title of the most advanced mobile market. Now, aside of the industrial politics, which you can discuss and so on, definitely there is something to learn, and maybe to make sure that you understand, copy, improve. The mobile is not just today, mobile is the future as well. So I think there is something to learn from them. One questions that I do get, and our mobile operator members will not mind that, is word for mobile operators. And once again, it's a fragmented word. There's a lot of things happening out there. Who do people trust? Well, that's a difficult question. We ask that every year, so we have 7 years of information available. And the answer is consistently, they trust themselves. They don't trust very many people. But bank and credit cards being number 2, mobile operators being in top 5 there with 13%. 1 in 10 of people would trust an operator with their personal data, and 1 in 3 would be a bank or credit card. Has things changed? Not much. No, it's not a bad positioning. Let's not make it a minus for the operators. But look at the USA. That's 8% of smartphone owners will say, yes, please make sure that my mobile phone provider, the big companies, are my main interface for personal data. So this is a more complex solutions. The mobile operators are sitting on a treasure chest of information, as we've seen before, knowing so much about so many people out there. But the way you interact with this information is a bit more complicated, I think. In fact, and that's a post-COVID tracker that we've been using, we've been managing as math a confidence index showing how much of a mobile ecosystem the mobile companies are reacting revenue-wise to the pandemic. And the resilience is the right word. Actually, it's growth, I should say, because 57% of the respondents, and this is 264 business globally again, they have all said, well, things are not bad. Quarter on quarter, from Q3 to Q4 already, they expect a significant growth of revenue, greater than 10%, and 27%, still a good growth between 2 to 10%. So that's impressive numbers. But the more impressive things is to see what's behind it, so to speak, what kind of services are driving these. And it's really everything to do, I would say, with the digital transformation again. And top number, personal data and identity company are the ones that are specifically positive. The index here, 65, that's the people that are saying in a percentage that it's growing or growing significantly. So 65, and that's higher than enterprise communication, which in your case is anything to do with communications and tell your delivery has arrived. Here is your special one-time password or via SMS or similar things. So everything within the area is growing and growing fast. So fantastic opportunity that we are seeing now after the COVID as well. A bit more of information on that. And by the way, I'm showing these for the first time right now. So we've done a Q3 analysis and a Q4, but we didn't publish it until now. So, you are the first lucky few, maybe, or the one that will tell us all what you think about it. But once again, personal data and identity, if you look and compare the different percentages, you can see what an healthy growth we are seeing, and effectively no large reduction. Companies involved in this area are expecting a fantastic uptake in the next few months. So I would say definitely one area to look and cover. I'm afraid I might be talking for too long because we do have a lot of information, but I'd rather be listening to you and to your question. So how am I doing with time, Oisin? We are still okay? Well, fantastic. Well, in that case, I will just finalize on my summary, so to speak, for the day. If we've said the mobile is the actual treasure chest here, the real thing, there's so much of our personal data is tracked and used for a mobile phone, for our experience, our personal life. We also seen how many more services, more richness, more interaction is ended within the mobile area. and then so much that probably China is the new champion to look for. And finally, how within all of these, the area of personal data identities showing a fantastic and phenomenal growth. Now, I would stop and say that obviously Mark will tell you more, but TMT Analysis is probably the one you might want to talk to. We are independent. You make your own decisions. Mark will tell you that they are the best, etc. We only were going to say that if you're looking at personal data and mobile, you have to pay attention to all of these trends. This is a very strong and significant growth. So from a third party, a pure look at this market, and you have to pay attention because phenomenal things are happening here. And so from Math, a very welcome to everybody that might have additional questions in these topics. We do cover personal data on a regular basis, and we encourage you to challenge our numbers and so on. But our news today are extremely positive on anything we've seen so far.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Dario. That was every bit as fascinating as I'd hoped. And, to paraphrase the great Ron Burgundy, mobile identity and mobile intelligence is kind of a big deal. And as the title of our session outlines, mobile intelligence can actually be this one-stop shop for identification, authentication, and verification. So now we're going to hear about the power of mobile intelligence from Mark Page, who again is the Vice President of Sales at TMT Analysis. And once Mark puts his presentation on the screen, as with Dario, you're welcome to double click and it will make the slides a bit bigger for you. So take it away, please, Mark.
Thank you, Oisin. So I'll try and get it on the screen now. Bear with me a second.
The technology has been running very smoothly. Look at this. Fantastic. Okay, don't forget double click to make it big.
Okay, so I'm going to speak about what we mean by mobile intelligence and also what we've been doing in this area with our partners, which will hopefully drive questions from people watching and other members of the panel as well. So during the brief, and I will keep it brief presentation, I'm going to discuss why is mobile number intelligence important, how does the data flow work, and where it comes from, and what are the practical user cases. So what's interesting about a mobile phone number? The mobile phone number is ubiquitous. Nearly everyone has one now. Over 75% of adults worldwide, and that's as high as 98% in the US. We keep our number for a very long time now, on average half a lifetime. As we saw in the poll at the start of the session. This is largely down to number portability, the fact that you can take your number with you when you change to a new provider. In some countries, people have a mobile phone even if they don't have a bank account. So this is really interesting for your thin credit file clients, where credit file or history is too thin for more traditional checks. So the mobile phone number can be useful for verification, especially when mobile money is used substantially, like in Africa or the Latin America region. In the US, approximately 62 million Americans have a thin credit file, and around 26 million Americans are known as invisibles, i.e. they have no credit accounts or on their credit reports at all. Another example is our moderator, Oisin, who moved from Ireland to Spain. He would also have a thin credit file in his new country, so could potentially use his mobile phone number and its history to help with new bank accounts or credit card applications. Subscribers provide their number consensually for all sorts of things. So a phone number is something that is provided willingly by all of us. for onboarding or for transactional purposes, which means it's something we can use for identity verification and for prevention. Smartphones store and can provide all sorts of data. So growth in smartphones has enabled additional data sources to be available around a mobile number, such as history, applications, and recent or even current location. So these are TMT's two main products today. Starting with our Velocity service, this is our primary business at TMT. We've got the largest mobile numbering database covering over 2 billion numbers in over 80 countries. We're focused on routing intelligence, so providing the knowledge for which number resides where, whether a subscriber is active, and various different data points around the mobile number. We provide the service for anyone who's looking to use two-factor authentication or one-time passwords to secure transactions or social networking. So we're the database that sits behind all the routing and services provided by the messaging hubs, the big social networks like Facebook and Google, as well as the major telecoms operators who use the service for optimizing their messaging and their voice call routing. So this core business generates over tens of millions of queries per day, over a billion per month now, to mobile networks all around the world to allow transactions, two-factor authentications or one-time passwords to take place. So concerning the finance and fintech space specifically, we've recently launched new products built around protection and making these services more secure. So if you've seen in the market recently, there's an increasing amount of fraud and accounts being taken over. So we launched a series of account takeover protection products called Verify to help combat things like SIM swap or port swap, when someone masquerades as you, manages to obtain some of your data, maybe from a phishing attack or through social media or even the dark web. They can then take over your mobile account and get access to your one-time passwords and your bank account or your credit card, and obviously then try and steal your money. There's been a massive growth in this type of fraud. Europol recently said it's growing faster than credit card fraud. So what we're trying to do at TMT is bring our data sets, which we've used in the wholesale world for the routing of telecommunications, and make that data available for fintechs and banks to secure and protect their transactions and their customers. So this is an overview of how the service, the Velocity service works. I think this might be from a MEF graphic describing the data flow. So thank you, Dario. As you can see on the right-hand side, the data is sourced from mobile operators, regulators, and other authoritative sources. Our customers, the messaging companies performing the one-time password or the two-factor authentication, or even the voice carriers on mobile networks who are using the service to optimize routing, they send a query to our TMT Velocity database, and we respond with the correct network almost immediately, in under 5 milliseconds, to ensure the call or the message is delivered correctly for the best cost and quality of service. So, why is this relevant? This data forms the basis of the product sets around number intelligence. So our existing product, Velocity, spans over 80 countries, which requires us to have a really intimate knowledge of the mobile operator landscape in each of them. So our expertise is cutting through all the complexity and lack of standardization in the industry. And our customers benefit from a single API that allows them to query any country, any operator, even though at the back end, almost everyone uses different formats. So it's real-time, accurate data, which is tested millions of times every day. So here's some of the key features of the TMT Verify service. So the data for the service is sourced from regulators and network operators, which provide us with a series of really interesting data points, which are all built around the mobile telephone number. So for example, whether the number is valid, if the number is active, a real-time check against the local network to see if the subscriber is active and has been seen recently on the network. We can see if the mobile number has recently ported or had a SIM swap or call forwarding. We can even do we can even do checks if the number matches the name and the address from the network provider. We can check if the number is roaming, and we can see quite a lot of the history of the number, how long it's been in operation, even whether it's on a pre or post-paid contract in some countries. So the Verify service provides this security at a very low cost and very quickly, maximum sort of half a second, either at the beginning of an onboarding session or before a transaction. So helping to provide more mitigation to the fraud problem and security and knowledge to anyone who's providing services via the internet, which is obviously increasing due to COVID-19. All this is via a single API. So it's a fully flexible system that allows customers to request only the parameters, only the data points that they wish to see returned on a query by query basis. So we feel you should buy Verify if you rely on mobile telephone numbers for identifying your customers. If you work with people who may have thin or limited credit history, or you use mobile authentication and vulnerable to accounts being taken over. So this is the last slide from me. You'll be glad to hear. So mobile number intelligence is unlikely to solve the complete identity picture, but it does provide the ability to carry out checks on various parts of the verification process. So on the left, in green, you can see the velocity NP routing. These are simple checks from the routing world to check a number is valid and belongs to a network. So it's ideal for during an onboarding or potentially for list cleansing of existing customers' numbers. Next level is Velocity Live, which is looking at the subscriber status. Is the number active? Have we seen the number on the network recently? And also the subscriber location, the roaming location. So, quite an obvious good user case for this type of data is, if you travel abroad and you want to use your credit card at a particular store, then the credit card company can check via our service if your phone is also in the same location and country, therefore allowing a seamless customer experience whilst also protecting against fraud. Verify A2P is the next level. So this is checking if the phone is still under control and has not been taken over by a fraudster. So our data can show when a phone number has changed SIM cards or recently ported to a new network, alerting brands and customers to potential risk before they approve a transaction, for example. Lastly, Verify KYC, so know your customer checks. This is matching the data provided to the bank or the payment company, making sure it matches the CRM data from their mobile network provider. So this is a name to number match, or a name to address match, or potentially name to age match in certain geographies. So this cost of verifying identities with our Verify service is a small fraction compared to more expensive credit checks by the larger credit agencies like Experian or an Equifax, for example. So it's a really simple way to do a very short and fast KYC check to ensure the customer is who they say they are. That's the end. So I'm going to hand back to our moderator to further discuss this topic and open up to questions.
Thank you, Mark. That was genuinely fascinating. And it's, always great to get to know the technology behind these very consumer-friendly solutions that are just, magically rolled out by the banks and the fintechs and the companies that we use every day. You mentioned there that things have changed with COVID. And do you think, because people are obviously going to be doing a lot more shopping on their phones, as we saw from Dario's slides there, we saw that huge rise in m-commerce. Mark, how do you think that mobile intelligence can really help e-commerce companies and protect customers? What would be like a real practical example of this happening?
So sure. So as you said, the e-commerce is massively increasing due to COVID. Banks or fintech companies can use our service to verify the user is who they say they are. So simple checks, whether the number is valid, whether it's active, it's a real live subscriber, it's not a bot or something.
Yeah.
And it can check, the example I gave there was a roaming check to see whether the phone is in the same place as the card transaction actually taking place.
Yeah.
All these are hopefully ways we can help mitigate fraud and these sorts of issues.
Yeah. Fantastic. That's great. I remember many years ago, I was at the South by Southwest conference, and I had a speaker pass, but I wanted to upgrade it so I could hang around for a while and see lots of great music, which I obviously did. But when I was paying, I was obviously using my big name credit card, and it was just brilliant. I basically got a text message to confirm, and it seems like the technology. This was many years ago, so as opposed to getting a phone call from an unknown number that I will absolutely ignore in an awkward situation where I'm stressed, getting a text message saying, reply 1 to confirm it's you and you're in this location is just a dream. It was so easy, but it sounds like things have come on even further where that doesn't even need to happen. They just kind of ping your database and you say, yeah, Oisin's in Austin, Texas. And, that's where his phone is. That's where his credit card is. Go ahead and approve the payment. So
yes, exactly. It can do. I mean, obviously, one-time passwords and two-factor authentications are still, happening all the time and are very good use of verifying a user.
Yeah.
But if an account has been taken over, and this type of fraud, as I mentioned, is increasing all over the world, but particularly in the US and in Europe, it's too late by the time that message or that one-time password gets sent. The account has already been taken over by the fraudster. So our sort of additional data is a sort of background check to verify that hasn't happened. And if we give an indication that the number's been ported in the last 24 hours or the SIM's been changed in the last 24 hours, that's just a reference to the company to do further checks. Obviously people port their numbers and change their SIMs all the time.
Yeah.
But there is a chance there's an increased risk of fraud when those checks come back positive and it's before a very large transaction, for example, or during an onboarding session, So we're trying to help mitigate that risk and help combat this type of account takeover fraud.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should just say, now that we've had our brilliant presentations, we are open for questions and answers. So feel free to ask a question in the chat window, or if you're feeling social, come and join us on the stage. Just, I'm not sure how it works. I think you need to ask to join the moderation panel. We had Jeremy Blackburn, the CEO of Black Ink, flashed up on the screen in the middle of the presentation. So if you'd like to come back and try again, we'd love to we'd love for you to join us on stage, and you can chat directly with Dario and Mark. In the meantime, I just wanted to say congratulations to Liz Lumley, who's had her mobile phone number since 1998. That is super impressive. Okay, you're a mobile veteran like the rest of us. That's brilliant. And we have a question from Laura, and it's directed at Mark. And the question is, I'm wondering whether you encounter privacy implications when using the mobile intelligence. Are consumers comfortable in knowing this data is available in this way, or is the seamless experience a more important consideration overall? Brilliant question. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And obviously we have to be compliant with the privacy regulations in each country that we operate in.
Yeah.
Generally consumers are happy because of the fact that this is to stop fraud and to stop fraudulent issues occurring. But for us, we have to get approval from the mobile networks to get access to this data. So we have to go through all the relevant checks and contract discussions, which are lengthy with the mobile networks, to ensure we comply with all of their requirements.
Yeah.
But it does, it is different in different markets, to be honest. I wouldn't say I'm an expert on the privacy implications, but we obviously have to say we have to comply with all the regulations that we need for privacy.
Of course, but it kind of focuses our minds a bit on this concept of customer experience, and that really being the primary differentiator for any service, for any business, whether that's opening a bank account or ordering a taxi or an Uber or whatever. How in these scenarios where you've got these very mobile savvy consumers and all they want is that great customer experience, how can mobile intelligence really just make it seamless and take away those pain points and those obstacles that people have less and less tolerance for?
So yeah, I mean, all of these checks are carried out in the background. So the user really shouldn't be affected, and the process will be smooth. The customer experience will be seamless, unless there's a flag that's obviously raised.
Sure.
So if as I said, if we see a SIM swap change or a porting change, then yeah, that might require further verification from the customer to the bank or whichever situation it is. But yeah, the idea is that this is happening in the background, and the customer is unaffected, but is more secure and obviously safer from these types of fraudulent cases happening. Yeah,
fantastic. And that if there's any trade-offs to be had, it's very reassuring to know that the kind of frictionless aspect of onboarding, customer onboarding, etc. It only introduces a bit of friction when there's an actual flag under the scenes. You're taking away all of the other pain points just to make it as smooth as possible. And if there's a flag, it's because there has been a SIM swap or something that needs further investigation. Very cool. Thank you, Mark. So Dario, I'd like to hop back over to you for a second because you shared some really interesting statistics there that might be thought-provoking for our colleagues in America. And you spoke about how China is moving ahead very quickly. So I'm wondering, is there an opportunity, or is this a kind of invitation for the US to do, to behave in a new, innovative way, to do some catching up? Or, given that we're speaking about mobile intelligence, what is the role of the US as a middleman in terms of making sense of a lot of mobile operator data, and how does the US fit into the big global mobile ecosystem?
Well, the US has got a big role in the world economy, and no surprise, in the mobile ecosystem as well. Yeah. Yes. But yes, there was my suggestion to look forward. And by the way, I should say that while I was listening to Mark's presentation, I was going, I wish I was going to say that.
Too late.
And Mark, it's too late now. Can't do it. But Because obviously I started by saying to everybody how big the things is, which I think people by now people know that mobile is huge, it's everywhere, and everything. The interest is in what you do with it. And there is Mark telling you and making it real of the potential, let alone if it's 8 billion or 6 or 4 or 2, or what you can do. In the same way, the China examples, if you go back and see what they do with it, it's not like the US doesn't have mobile smartphones and mobile telephony. You do have. But the element of the customer experience you were talking about, the design of bringing all together these things and start developing. Well, look at Ant, if you look at IPO and the value of that Chinese company, which is a fintech company from Alipay Group and so on, and what they've done, and how much of value in their expertise and in their experience to the customers, with the customers. I think that's what we need to start thinking about more, what to do with it. And I think they have done something. Let's have a look at it. And I'll tell you, Oisin, if you give me another 30 seconds, Laura's questions, I loved it. And I say, you are right. And I think it's a difficult question. And Mark is right. That's really dependent on where you are country-wise. But we found that we look at implementation or GDPR-like and personal data-like implications. There is something that we like to refer to a lot, which is privacy by design, which is be careful of developing a service and at the end they say, oh yeah, what about analytics? Okay, there it is. Oh, what about privacy and consent? Oh, okay, well, too late. Now, if you are in fintech, you are some of the smartest brain in the world. Start thinking now of what you want to do next. Yeah. And you should put those requirements, analytics first. It doesn't come later. It should be first. And with it, consent, privacy, first at the same time. Because if you're building a new bank or if you do a new financial service, you have the great power of looking at China, everything else, and redesign the customer experience, which is new and works. And use all the power which is available for you. And the power of the mobile data, I think, is also there. You should somehow get and make the most of it. So I hope I have answered your question somehow and a few others. In the messy word, Mark, I like your presentation. I should.
Boom. Fantastic. Thank you, Dario. That was a powerhouse answer. That was answering like many questions all at once. I have another question. Let's stay with you for a minute, Dario. 5G. 5G is obviously coming. It's going to change everything. It's going to make mobiles more powerful. It's going to maybe diminish even further laptops and desktops. What's coming on the horizon? Is mobile going to be more important when 5G is rolled out everywhere?
Okay, we have math. We say it's mobile. So anything with a G, we have to, by contract, we have to love and say great things about it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I'll tell you. The reality of mobile ecosystem, we looked at the applications behind it. And so we are probably not as exciting as 5 as 4 because we already have seen a fantastic reach. And then I'll tell you, within some of the applications, specific applications, if you're looking for latest and so on, 5G is probably what you need to deliver your virtual reality or your games, etc. If you look at fintech, you don't need 5G. You need 5G because maybe there's not enough capacity. Good news. And that's always in need. So to another crowd, I would have sounded with a big smile, like I was saying before, look at what you can do with mobile data. Now I would have said, look at what you can do with 5G. But if you're in the fintech world, I think you've got everything right now to build all the little bricks to build your fantastic future. And you don't need to wait for 5G. But if you are maybe in other creative areas or specialist services, emergency services, let's have a chat about 5G.
Fantastic. So the message I'm taking away loud and clear is don't wait, innovate, get this technology on board and embrace the power of mobile intelligence. We are running a little bit out of time quite soon, but I'd love for you to share how people can find out more. Can they find you in this conference environment? Should they reach out to you on LinkedIn or via your website? Starting with your good self, Mark. Where do people go to find out more?
So we'll be here on the event. So there's a booth you can come and talk to us on. I'll be around for the next hour or two. or LinkedIn. We're obviously on there, and we'd love to answer any more questions on these services, certainly.
Fabulous. Okay, I'll be down in the booth first thing. Thank you very much. Dario, where can people find out more about the amazing work of MEF?
www.mobileecosystemforum.com. Even if you get a couple of letters wrong, eventually you get there. And yes, there's a lot of data for you to download. It's for free. Membership is not, but we'd like you to be a member as well. But just listen and see all the good things that people like Mark and others are saying on our forum. It's for us is great. So please come and see.
Okay, thank you so much, Dario and Mark, for an amazing session. The key takeaway: don't wait, innovate, grab hold of mobile intelligence. The future is bright, particularly where we are now with mobile. My name's Oisin Lunny. Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or drop me a direct message. It's been great to be here. Thank you to FinTECHTalents, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.